It's been a few months since we last had an Anbernic retro handheld to show. Their latest model, bucking the trend for small size, is the larger than life RG405V. Let's get started with the unboxing. But before we do, did you know that DROIX also sells these handhelds? We have retro gaming and Windows handhelds, mini PCs, portable monitors, hubs and docking stations. Everything you need all in one place. Visit us at droix.co.uk or droix.net for worldwide shipping. Keep watching until the end for a discount code. First out of the box is the RG405V itself, which we will check out in more detail shortly. Under the packaging is a user guide which is in English and Chinese. There's a micro SD card for storage. Next we have a screen protector and some wipes for when applying the protector. And last but not least, we have a USB Type-C charge cable. The Anbernic RG405V is available in three colours: grey, transparent purple and wood grain. It measures around 5.7 by 4.13 by 1.3 inches and weighs 282 grams. With the larger physical size, we get a nice large 4-inch IPS touchscreen with a 640 by 480 screen resolution. It's a good resolution, ideal for upscaling retro games. On the front you have your usual gaming controls with dual Hall effect analogues. In the middle is a home button. On the left side there is a function button and micro SD card slot. And on the right is the volume rocker and power button. The back has shoulder buttons which are quite comfortable to rest your fingers on and also within easy reach. There is a fan grille in the middle area. On the top there is a USB Type-C port for charging. And we finish on the bottom with a 3.5mm headphone port. The RG405V feels very comfortable in your hand. The size for me is nice as your hands are not cramped together like you get with smaller handhelds. The controls are all within easy reach and you do not need to adjust your hands to reach the buttons. The screen size is also great. It's nice to see the opposite trend of making a handheld as small as possible. The Anbernic RG405V has the Unisoc Tiger T618 processor, which we have seen in various handhelds, including the RG505 and Retroid Pocket 3 Plus and Flip models. It is a decent processor with a Mali G52 GPU, which helps a great deal with more modern system emulation and games. There is 4GB of LPDDR4X RAM running at 1866MHz and 128GB of internal eMMC storage. You can use a micro SD card up to 2TB in size. For communications there is Wi-Fi 5 and Bluetooth 5 for connecting wireless peripherals too. There's a 5500 mAh rechargeable battery. In our test we got just over 6 hours whilst running and 2.2 benchmark on a loop. The RG405V has a fan inside to keep everything cool. We got a highest fan noise of 60 decibels, but we had to manually set this to get the reading. It was averaging around 42 decibels during the benchmarks. And for the highest temperature we got just 40 degrees Celsius. It runs on Android 12, so we are fairly up to date with the operating system. On first boot you will get a welcome screen and setup, which is good to see. Once you've set up, you're nearly ready to go if you don't want to use the built-in front end. There are a bunch of emulators already installed, though you will need to set up the paths to your games on the storage card. It only takes a moment to do, so it's not a big issue. If you use the front end, then you're good to go. The front end will scan your micro SD card and sort the contents into their respective gaming systems. Other features include built-in screen mapping, which allows you to map the on-screen touch controls to the gaming buttons. This is useful for Android games that do not have controller support. The software is straightforward to use, simply drag and drop the icons and pair them up with the controls. There is a user guide app on the menus for further information. We know that the Tiger T618 is a very capable processor, so let's see how it compares with other Android handhelds. Starting with Geekbench, we can see a slightly lower score on single core performance compared to the other models, but slightly higher multi-core performance. It swings and roundabouts really. Overall you're looking at around the same performance as the others. Onto 3D Mark, which tests the CPU and GPU performance together. We see roughly the same scores for all the Tiger models, which is no surprise. The more powerful and expensive AYN DIN Pro is far ahead of the Tiger devices with its Snapdragon CPU. Antutu is more of a real-world benchmark test covering 2D and 3D graphics, UI performance, media playback, etc. We get a great score for the RG405V, with a noticeable difference in performance compared with the other Tiger-based models. We all know that the T618 is decent for emulation up to the PS1 and Dreamcast era. It can run all of these systems with no issues, and in most cases you can increase the graphics settings for improved visual quality. For consoles past this era, you will see mixed performance depending on the system and the game itself. It is a mix of either the emulator is not fully compatible or simply not enough processing power. With Citra we see decent performance on lower demanding games, but with many you will get slowdown or short freezes whilst the shaders are caching. On the second playthrough, once shaders are generated, you will see improved performance, but it's not perfect. For PlayStation 2 it's much the same. There's a decent number of games that are playable at normal resolution. For some you may have to lower the rendering resolution for playable speeds, but for many games that will not be enough. On the Dolphin emulator we see some very good performance. Many games are running at full or near full speed, nothing that spoils the games too much. There are of course some games that have bad performance, we need a faster CPU to get those running. Whilst we do not see anything new with the internal hardware, we do see a vertical handheld that isn't afraid to be larger than most retro handhelds. The extra space means we get a larger display, not so cramped controls, and an overall more comfortable gaming experience. We also like the initial startup wizard, which helps get you started. Having pre-installed emulators will be beneficial for those that prefer plug and play, and there's nothing stopping you from deleting them and creating your own setup. The front end is a nice addition and will automatically scan your game paths and add them to the menu. Whilst it doesn't have a built-in image scraper, it is functional and works just fine for the supported consoles. I couldn't really find anything to complain about. At a push, I could say that the lack of a HDMI port is a negative, as its competitors, such as the Retroid Pocket Flip, has one. It is something to consider if you want to play on the big screen. You can buy the Anbernic RG405V from us at DROIX.co.uk or DROIX.net for international shipping. Use the code 405V50FF for a 5% discount on the checkout. Please note the code may expire 1 month after this video, and it cannot be used during store sales or promotions. We hope you have found this Anbernic RG405V review useful. If you did, please subscribe if you have not already. It helps to grow this channel. Thanks for watching and we see you in the next one.